reached the law office of Quincy O'Donnell. The currently assistant of the caller will momentarily step away from our phone. If you know your party's extension, you may dial it now, or choose from the following options. For reception, dial 200. Catherine Hill, 202. David O'Donnell, 204.
Hey David, it's Matt Reardon. Please give me a call at your soonest convenience. It's 3:15 on Tuesday the 1st. I'm wanting an emergency board meeting to convene with the County Board of Supervisors. All I'm asking for is for a remote Zoom meeting, because we are quickly approaching the election, and there are serious accusations and grievances that are in play going right up to it that I would like addressed. I would like to bring to the county supervisors' attention. I know I've already brought it to David Ricard's, and I think the best thing, honestly, that the county can do at this point is to not refuse me my right under the First Amendment to petition the government for a redress of grievances. I think that being that everything stemmed in the county, that these supervisors, the Board of Supervisors, certainly has an obligation to hear and assess the seriousness of this, especially in the week leading up to the election. If I can't even get that, then I'm going to have no choice but to file a federal complaint and seeking a stay to the upcoming election until a fair and formal investigation has been conducted. I don't think that's asking too much. I have worn a fake label given to me by the county over the past 4 years now. I've lost 3 houses, and my kids that were under 5 that had to deal with the 3 moves certainly were affected. So not only has this disenfranchised me, but it's disenfranchised my children. And it's just adding insult to injury, refusing to look at the facts. 662-812-1613. 662-812-1613. Thanks, David. Mr. O'Donnell, Matt Reardon. I had just missed your call whenever you called. I'm doing all right. How you doing?
Not too bad, really. Just coming back off a holiday. Hope yours was good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not a whole lot to it now. I got three kids that, at times, well, it's actually 4. I had to actually drop off my 6-year-old yesterday, and if her stepsister was not out of town, where is it? Arkansas, we would have had 4. But yeah, it's crazy. The wife works overnight at the hospital, and I actually just, as of this coming up week, going back to doing what I do, or what I did before with the transportation collection. So I started up so hauling freight, 18-wheelers, big industry right there, especially right now. There's trucks always in transit dropping off freight. There's a lot of fraudulent brokers out there. It's double brokering scams that, they're fly by night. They'll pop up and solicit business, and then they'll shut down, close the doors, and take off with the money that's owed to the carriers that, hauls the freight. And we know, we pursue the customers when we can't get it from the actual broker. It's something that I learned actually how to do from somebody that had done it a while. And I helped start a business back in 2018 that I was forced out of exactly a year later. And, he has forced every one of his sales employees out that came on after that, and basically kept their commissions, turned them into house accounts. So that's a different problem for a different day right there.
Yeah, they all come in different shapes and sizes.
I always do. Look, I reached out to David. Yeah.
Yeah, I got your message, and he asked me about it too. But there's two things from the attorney standpoint that I think about. Number one is, do we have any role in the process? And I don't believe we do in terms of, looking at elections or the things that are going wrong with the elections, fraud or miscounting ballots or anything like that. All that's before the election commission.
Okay, but I guess my biggest issue, my argument on that is, what do you do when you've reached out to the proper authorities, the proper agencies, and that cry for help goes unanswered? When I've uncovered Department of Justice involvement in this thing. So, they're directly implicated. The FBI is directly implicated. But it all started with me in Lafayette County.
Yeah, your issue is the proper forum. So, depending on what the nature of the issue is, you could go to the Secretary of State's office. I've done all that. I've reached out to the Secretary of State, the Attorney General. So here's my explanation. If you think it's with DOJ, if it's on a federal level, for example, then your avenues would typically be in federal court. Again, it would just depend on what the nature of the issue is.
Yeah.
If it's with the FBI, they're different. There are different avenues administratively. Like, for example, I represented a guy who was an ex-U.S. Marshal, and he had issues with Department of Justice and Marshal Service.
Right.
We had to pursue administratively any complaints that he had about how the Marshal Service operated. But I couldn't go directly to federal court first.
No, and I understand. My thing is, I believe if there's an emergency situation, and that's exactly what, that's the one time where I believe the law actually supports it. And, if I'm seeking something such as an emergency injunction, an emergency stay, and that's ultimately what I see this coming down to, is I'm going to have to file in district court, seeking a emergency order of protection and an emergency stay to the upcoming election, until a fair and formal and impartial investigation has taken place. Because up to now, I've reached out to everybody that is tasked under the duties of their office with doing something about this. And when the state attorney general's office has refused to even so much as look into the facts, to even do an investigation. Same thing with the Mississippi Bureau of Investigations. Obviously, the FBI has admitted to not being able to locate, mishandling a record, a document. The U.S. Attorney's Office.
You're talking about a municipal election, right? That's coming up next week.
Yes. I think that my position is she's refused to even, and I know that she has that right to remain silent, but I think in a public position like this, where you're accountable to the public, when there's this serious of accusations where the facts actually substantiate it and back it up, as far as the time frame on everything and how they had kicked everything off with a emergency injunction placed against me just days prior, to effectively silence me, to keep me from City Hall to speak. I was on the docket to speak out after Joey East. Joey East actually introduced during that meeting, I found out, the changes to the ordinance on the gun policies, and they effectively used all that to silence me and to get me out of the way for her election, so I wasn't a headache, a road bump. And then also, coincidentally, exactly 7 days after she was sworn into office, I was, basically coerced under the most extreme stress. See, my thing is this. Lafayette County has refused to afford due process rights to the accused. And I say that with confidence because it's very specifically lays out in its Mississippi Rules of Criminal Procedure the process for bond being set for a preliminary hearing to be set within 14 days. And I was trying to assert my innocence.
Yeah, now you're talking something outside of the election issue, right?
No, this is all interrelated. I mean, and that's the thing is this thing's going to be, if I have to file this thing before the election, it's going to be a massive filing because it's all interconnected. Now I have Jay Chain. It's like a game of tit for tat. Compared to 2017, now we have Jay Chain and the Lafayette County Justice Court going on tilt, which is what it is. I've shown through the camera and slowing it down extreme misconduct with the December 28th arrest. Actually, 8 deputies searching my car in a matter of 25 minutes before my car was towed away. And they actually, I'm of the standing of that car was being towed away. There's ongoing legal matters going on, and 8 deputies were in my car, and I have pictures of pictures being taken of the hard drives. I see a swap happen between Deputy Omar Ahmed and Deputy what's his name, right there at the back of my car. I had 2 cell phones. You can see Courtney Dixon actually throw my cell phone at the ground. It bounces off the ground. The back camera glass is cracked. It's just, and then this DUI, not one single bit of protocol was followed with it. I was never searched. It was a non-consented transport to the Lafayette County Detention Center to take a field sobriety test, all because he smelled the odor of marijuana in my car, and didn't find any on me. Didn't even do a search of me or the car, and I have an eyewitness to it. And I passed every part of the field sobriety test except for supporting my weight on my bad motorcycle knee, which I showed and conveyed up front. And it's like, my ex, the harassing phone calls claim that she put against me last February, that was false, completely false. There's exculpatory evidence of my innocence right there. And Lafayette County prosecutor Jay Chain is refusing to drop that, even though it's part of we had a settlement in Chancery Court, and she even sent an email to Jay Chain saying, "Look, I want it thrown out." I mean, I've done a motion for discovery against Jay Chain on all these open cases. I've yet to receive, anything. They expect me to show up to trial at the end of this month. When, basically Lafayette County is saying, putting the middle finger up, just giving me the big screw you.
Well, let me tell you this about emergency hearings or meetings by the Board of Supervisors. You would need at least 5 days to do that under the statute. And that puts us to next Monday. We're having a regular meeting Monday anyways.
But my thing is, I'm asking for just a simple Zoom meeting. I don't like the fact that the county and the state is picking and choosing what statutes and what provisions to stick to and enforce, where others. It's like only the things advantageous to them, it's choosing to quote and enforce.
Yeah, but Matt, the Zoom meeting is going to put us in the same spot. We'd be in violation of the Open Meetings Act.
But y'all are in violation of much more serious things, and just not getting the preliminary hearing. I had to. There's no leniency there. It specifically says must. be released on own personal recognizance within 14 days. If the preliminary hearing is not given within 14 days. I mean, it couldn't be clearer. The only reason why I pled out was because they unconstitutionally held me kidnapped at the Lafayette County Detention Center and brainwashed me for 6 weeks from that.
Well, courts, as you know, operate under a different set of rules than what we do as board of supervisors. So if the judge has got your case, or if you're going to file a case, they operate under rules where they can have a hearing the same day or the next day. That's not an issue. But for us, it's definitely different. So we're not able to have meetings by Zoom or otherwise.
But I mean, what about the First? I have serious issues with, like, how does that not directly clash with what the First Amendment says, the right to petition the government for a redress of grievances, and how that's directly linked with me standing on the square holding the state flag. I mean, I was petitioning about Robin taking the flag down, being the major part over here for having the flag taken down without it being changed. And I mean,
what you're asking to do, though, is appear before an organized meeting.
But I think the whole reason of emergency and the fact that the election is on the 8th certainly should give the county, if they I would think that it would certainly mitigate in an adverse decision, it would mitigate the damages for the county to simply just grant me that and to show a little bit of care and decency.
Yeah, well, having a hearing, we can't do it in less than 5 days. Even if we could do it before that, it would be my advice to the board that we just have no jurisdiction or no authority in relation to the election.
Well, I know, but it's Lafayette County Sheriff's Department, and I mean, Lafayette County judges played a substantial part to the fraud that happened.
Well, I know the judges, for example, they sit in Lafayette County, but they're not necessarily county judges. Well,
and you also have Jay Chain. You have the more recent arrest here that, quite frankly, I can pick apart and destroy on just the facts alone. And I mean, you may have a forum for what you're talking about. But it's not before the board of supervisors. It would likely be in front of a court, whether that be a federal judge or... I mean, I have something. I'm going to file it in the U.S. District Court. That's where it belongs. It belongs in federal court at this point. I don't trust the state courts. But I'm just trying to see if I can compel at least a little bit of cooperation here.
Well, there's nothing for me to cooperate with, because again, we can't have a meeting before next Monday.
Right.
And if we could meet before then, there really would be nothing for. But you're not asking my board to do anything.
I'm asking your board. I'm asking for local government members to, for me, like I'm literally, and I know that this has been the county's goal, for me to be fighting this monumental battle alone with no attorney in my corner. But that's the unfortunate situation that we find ourselves in, is that I'm having to do this alone. I'm in the Court of Appeals right now. I've already filed a federal lawsuit against Olive Branch, which I had to just let go by the wayside, but it wasn't dismissed with prejudice, so it's more than likely going to get refiled. I just didn't have the time to devote to it. And then we have the county continuing to go on tilt, wanting me to stand trial for things that it knows that it has nothing on, and it's not cooperating on discovery motion. So I don't know what part of equal protections of the laws being afforded, how that doesn't directly, what all has gone on is exactly the definition of 42 U.S. Code 1985. The conspiracy to deprive another of their civil rights. And, and then the successful deprivation and continued deprivation. There couldn't be a more matched up scenario than what this thing is.
I know, but what you're asking David Reichert and now me is an opportunity to appear before the board
want the board supervisors to give me some accountability and some assurance that as elected officials in the county where this all stemmed, that they are going to do their due diligence in getting to the bottom of the facts. And I understand that it belongs in court, but you know what? There needs to be somebody that is interested in true justice, and not an innocent Marine Corps veteran having his life destroyed. Do you realize I can't even get an apartment anywhere because I have the fake tag of stalker on me? I am immediately prejudged because of something that I didn't do, and something that, in order for me to get my freedom to support my daughter and try to get her out of the court system, I had to do.
Well, there's nothing we can do as far as board of supervisors.
I wish like hell somebody in the board of supervisors, the same thing would happen to them so they could see exactly how it feels to have their whole life destroyed. I had everything going, and my life was destroyed.
I'll tell you about the board procedure, just so you know, for future purposes. If you want to get on the agenda, actually come to the meeting and stand up and be heard for whatever issue, whether it's mac and cheese or whatever. You have to have a board member sponsoring you for the agenda item. So that's the procedure.
Have you listened to that thing? Have you listened to that video that 10-minute thing that I just released for Memorial Day in advance of the July 4th?
No, I have not.
Well, it's a reading from the Declaration of Independence, and it's ironically it sends goosebumps up my spine whenever I read about the King of Great Britain and about the complete overrunning of the citizens of the colonies of America. And on most of them, when I take he out, where I say he, and I replace it with she, with Robin, basically, it's amazing how the picture just frames itself crystal clear. And I think the message of the lifeguard standing by watching a child drown, I cannot wait to give that compassionate story to a jury, because that's ultimately what's happened here. Is there's been a ton of culpable negligence. Agencies that should have done something should not have been a part of the problem, that stood around and watched me drown like they were a lifeguard watching a child drown, and the onlookers too far away to do anything to help.
If there's anything else I can help you with, let me know.
I appreciate it, David. My big thing right now, plausible deniability can't be asserted at this point. That's one thing I've made sure of, is to completely note, everybody that I've reached out to with this major problem. And, I hope that somebody decides to do the right thing. Because certainly, I didn't know about it is not gonna fly.
Well, good luck to you. I'm sure we'll be talking again sometime.
Sounds good. Thank you, David.
Okay.
All right. Bye.